Hey, it's Kenny. Today is Halloween, that day where kids get to dress up and parents get to remember when they did that too. Halloween, family get-togethers, parties, and fun times. Well, maybe not so much this year. We now have a great fear, known or unknown, placed upon us by our city and state governments. Halloween has been corrupted this year. I'm in my 70s now, but when I think back to that Halloween day when I was a little kid, that day of the Turd Halloween, let me tell you that story. Our neighborhood was great. Lots of people with goodwill towards others. It was a semi-rural area on the edge of forest and river, but still a street filled with houses. Our street went in a loop with one way in and one way out. Not much traffic except for those who lived there. My parents loved giving out candy to the trick-or-treaters, as we called them, our neighbors, kids in costumes with scary face masks, carrying a bag for the candy we would give them. I wanted to be one of those too. I was a little kid. I wanted to dress up, trick or treat as well. It was dark. It had rained that day. It was wet. My parents had bought me a Halloween face mask. I don't recall what it was now, but it was held on my head by an elastic strap around the back. The mask had 2 eye holes and a small hole at the mouth. The mask smelled funny. So my mom let me go out on my own to trick-or-treat around our neighborhood. It was safe, no traffic, but it was dark and wet. I carried a paper bag with handles to collect the enormous amount of candy I was hoping for. So I was a little kid on the street alone. Nothing to fear. Ours was a safe neighborhood. It was the custom to have the porch light on for those who would be accepting trick-or-treaters and handing out candy. I went to the first house that had a light on. I knocked on the door. Someone opened the door. "Oh my, who are you? The little kid up the street?" they happily said. "Trick or treat," I said. Plop, plop, plop. In goes some candy into my paper bag with the handles. So on it went, down the dark, wet street, to each house with a light on. Trick or treat! More candy in the paper bag with handles. In those days, candy was sometimes just loose, without any wrappers. Sometimes you would get a regular candy bar, or maybe a homemade popcorn ball wrapped in wax paper. Not like the little bits of candy individually wrapped today. I had walked across the wet lawns. I was a little kid. It was a big paper bag with handles. It was dark. It was wet. Eventually, about halfway around the block, the enormous amount of candy in my paper bag with handles got very wet on the bottom, dragging along over the wet grass, and the candy tumbled out into the wet street. It was awful, all that enormous amount of candy on the street. I felt around in the dark and tried to pick up all my candy and stuff it into my pockets. The paper bag with handles was ruined. My trick-or-treating was over. I headed home. "Mom, my candy spilled out on the street." I pulled out the candy from my pockets and dumped it onto the kitchen table. It was then discovered that I had inadvertently also picked up a dog turd or two and mixed it in with the candy. Oh, the horror! It was the dog turd Halloween! Eventually, after things calmed down, my older brother took me in the car to a nearby neighborhood, and I did some more trick-or-treating for some fresh candy. It was a Halloween I will never forget. The dog turd Halloween. I hope your Halloween this year will not be a dog turd Halloween. If so, I hope you have a brother, just like mine, who loved me. I love my brother.